Welcome back to In Ohio Country today, and we're here in beautiful Lima, Ohio at the Downtown Civic and Convention Center. And with me today is John Monner, farmer from Hancock County, and John's had a lot of involvement in agriculture, not only as a farmer and active producer, but also with the Ohio Soybean Council and the United Soybean Board. John, you want to tell us a little bit about, give us an update about what's going on in the big picture in Ohio as well as on the national front.
Oh, well, there's always exciting things going on in soybeans. Here in Ohio, we focus on a lot of new uses for soybeans. We've had a couple of R&D 100 awards in the last year for products that we've developed in conjunction with Battelle, things that are going to use more soybean oil, things that are going to help increase the value of soybeans and make the farmer more profit. That's what we do.
Well, you talked about what are the couple of the products that we got the awards for?
Well, one of the new products that's just rolled out recently is one the United Soybean Board did, and that's putting soybean oil into Goodyear tires. The passenger tire market is $2 billion per year. What if we could put a little bit of soybean oil in every one of those tires and increase the value of soybeans? It's just one more way that we are out here helping the farmers do a better job and create greater profitability at the farm gate.
Well, one thing, we're here, the Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, is here today and spoke, fielded questions. One of the questions you had was, I thought, a very good question. You want to just tell our viewers a little bit about your concerns as it relates to soybean exports?
Well, obviously we're all concerned about China putting a tariff on soybeans. Very disappointed. As United Soybean Board Director, very disappointed in that. Here we are, farmers in this country, doing the best we can to feed the world, to help put food on the table in China, and they're putting a tariff on the food in retaliation for other products. That's disappointing to us. But at the same time, we have a concern about foreign material. China has changed their standards. By the end of this year, we have to reach a 1% FM standard for all the beans shipped into mainland China. Should we continue to focus on that when they're retaliating to this product? Or should we shift our gears and do other things to promote soybeans? And happy to hear him say, hey, we as U.S. farmers are always going to do the right thing. We are going to create the product that our customer wants. And if they want 1% FM, he's going to work with us and we're going to get there.
Well, obviously exports to China and other parts of the world are very important in raw product as well as finished product, though, as well. The amount of finished product that we ship out of Ohio, though, is quite staggering as well as a result of soybeans grown here and fed here.
Oh, yeah. When I talk about soybeans and shipping soybeans into the export market, I talk about 5 different buckets. I talk about whole soybeans. China's a great example of a country that really imports our beans in a big way. But we also talk about the 2 products we make out of soybeans, soybean meal and soybean oil. Again, very important products. They hit the top 5 in both of those markets. But then I also like to talk about pork and poultry. Something like 8% of the pork produced in the United States goes into China. It's great news for us. It's a value-added product. Poultry, the growth of poultry globally is staggering. People are wanting to have more protein in their diet. There are countries who don't want to eat pork, but they're willing to eat poultry. So we focus on those products and those markets that can help our farmers back home and do what we can do to continue to create greater demand for soybeans.
You know, value added, it's interesting you mentioned 8% of the pork. Actually, about 30% of the pork, as a little note, is exported all over the world. I found that it was a very large number. It's kind of amazing to me.
Well, that's truly amazing, especially when you think that there's pork produced in many other countries as well. But we've done a really good job in agriculture promoting the value-added products like pork and getting those into offshore markets. So, kudos to the pork producers, kudos to the U.S. Meat Export Federation that are doing really good work on our behalf.
John, something else that I thought was interesting today, the question was asked, really about these tariffs, and I thought it was interesting that President Trump assured the Secretary of Agriculture that the farmers would not be pawns in this trade war.
Well, again, there's legitimate anxiety out here over the announced soybean tariffs today, but these are announcements. They're not going to take effect. We want to see what the market impact is. Our goal, frankly, is to get China to the table to discuss some of the unfair trading practices. And as I told the questioner very clearly on the phone with the president last night, he wanted me to assure the farmers and producers of America that they will not be allowed to be the casualty in these trade disputes. He will support them every step of the way.
Well, that was really good news. We have heard this before. We continue to talk to Secretary Perdue and have him relay the message to the president to do no harm to agriculture while we try to straighten up some of the indifference in trade around the globe.
Well, John, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
We'll be back with more in Ohio Country Today right after this.
S&S Volvo is your locally owned heavy-duty truck dealership in the area with a full line of Volvo and Isuzu trucks. We offer Volvo, Isuzu, Cummins, and GM parts and service weekdays until midnight until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. We also have leasing and rental options to meet your needs. We have the expertise to get and keep you on the road. Stop by at 2600 St. John's Road or visit us at ssvolvo.com to see our wide selection of new and used truck inventory. Automate your existing sliding doors with Propel Automation of Ohio. Automate up to 60-foot twin sliding shed or barn doors with their award-winning patented system. And now Propel Automation of Ohio is part of Ohio Agribility Program, allowing Ohio farmers and farm families who are coping with disabilities or long-term health conditions to automate their doors. For security, safety, convenience, remember Propel Automation of Ohio. Check us out on the web at propelohio.com.
It's a humble idea. Use a biological process to turn a plant into a power source. From that idea came the first Poet refinery. One biorefinery in one town turned into 27 facilities in 27 towns, creating new local jobs, producing hundreds of millions of gallons of ethanol, and providing renewable products around the world. Suddenly, that one little idea seems a whole lot bigger. See the world differently with Poet.
United Equity Inc. is your locally owned farm-based cooperative. For agronomic services, we offer seed and a full line of dry and liquid fertilizer, as well as soil sampling by soil type, grid, or management zone to best utilize your fertilizer application. Call us to discuss agronomic services customized for you. Reach your best yields with United Equity, serving Allen, Auglaize, Mercer, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Visit us on the web at unitedequityinc.com.
Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today. We're here in beautiful Lima, Ohio at the downtown Lima Civic and Convention Center, and with me is Jackie Seibert with United Equity. And Jackie, we just heard the Secretary of Agriculture, talk about some things, field some questions from producers and local business people. What was your takeaway, your biggest takeaway from today's conversation?
My biggest takeaway from this conversation today was I think we have somebody sitting at the head of USDA representing all the way down to our farmers, and I really appreciate him. One of the first comments he opened up with that he and Linda want to be acknowledged as Sonny and Linda, and I do believe that the entire conversation today, as they're interacting with us in the crowd, was along the lines of proving that to us. They are there representing us, and I truly feel that Secretary Perdue has us in mind with all decisions that are made at the USDA.
Well, he was talking about things as it relates to a water quality issue. Question was asked, and other questions were asked about are they going to continue the safety nets and some things like that, and getting the farm bill done. Those are all concerns, But where the co-op fits in this, you actually fit into this picture, kind of like between the exporter and the farmer. So how do you see this? The Secretary of Agriculture's position, and how do you think that's going to benefit the local farmer, your customer?
I think that we're going to see some very good representation there. I know that we have a president that is also fighting for a better country for us, and I think that we're watching the progress moving through. We're watching these changes that are affecting us every day, sometimes negative, sometimes positive, but I truly feel that we have an administration that is there working for us, and we have agency directors that are working for us as well. There's going to be some give and take, like he had stated. Sometimes we're going to feel the sting, but sometimes we're going to feel the productive outcome, the blossom that comes at the end. And I think we all kind of need to hang tight and have faith in them in order to watch that happen.
So what is the message that maybe you're going to give to, farmers come in your office all the time, right, and talk to you about things. So what would be maybe one of the messages that you're going to give your customers at United Equity?
Well, I started out the day with huge concern over what happened with soybeans, which is what led to my research to ask Sonny this question today about the tariffs that China's putting on it. And with his remark, nothing is set in stone yet. And I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to play this game of tag to get the other person to come and actually sit down and have conversation, because there's no doubt, Alan, we had very unfair tariffs for years, for decades, and it's time to get the ball on an even court.
Well, yeah, when you talk about deficits of $500 billion, there definitely has to be some lopsided trade positions there, whether it be tariffs or import duties or whatever the situation might be. Well, so I want to shift gears just a little bit. So one of the other things that, I thought it was interesting that we had the administrator of the Small Business Administration here with the Secretary of Agriculture. How do you see that as a co-op manager, and how do you see that kind of fitting together?
Oh, definitely. I think that's a good fit, because you're in a scenario, so many of us co-ops are a small business. United Equity is considered a small business, and we have obtained small business administration loans in the past. In an environment that we're experiencing right now, the suppressed markets, the minimal margins that we're seeing as the co-op as well as you farmers on the farm, we're going to be needing their support, whether it be short-term loans, long-term loans, assistance in certain programs. And I think with the EQIP program that USDA has, along with these loans and other programs SBA has, we can see some advantages on the farm level.
One of the other topics of conversation was water quality. So what was your takeaway on what Sonny said about that today?
I believe Sonny feels that we're on the right track. A lot of things have been set up to start working on the whole nutrient management plan, and they're not seeing the great effects. And we have so many agencies and people and cities that aren't seeing the impact that they felt that they should be seeing. But we all know that it's there. We've watched a 40% reduction happen in phosphorus use at the farm level. We've watched the phosphorus levels in the water at the farm level decrease. So we know we're seeing the results from it. Right now, I think that they need to put a little bit more focus on why aren't we seeing the lasting effects of it happening in Lake Erie. We know what we're doing is working, and I agree with him that we need to continue with what we're doing. We need to look at how we do our farm, work on a program, whether it be the precision farming or whatever. But we need to make sure that we aren't overloading our soil.
Well, Jackie, thanks for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. Thanks, Alan.
We'll be back with more right after this.
S&S Volvo is your locally owned heavy-duty truck dealership in the area with a full line of Volvo and Isuzu trucks. We offer Volvo, Isuzu, Cummins, and GM parts and service weekdays until midnight until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. We also have leasing and rental options to meet your needs. We have the expertise to get and keep you on the road. Stop by at 2600 St. John's Road or visit us at ssvolvo.com to see our wide selection of new and used truck inventory. Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster is your solutions provider. You can trust the experienced professionals at Allen Davis Insurance to protect your assets. Call today and start saving money with multi-policy discounts and more for auto, home, life, business, recreational, total farm protection, and more. Call Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster. We are your solutions provider. Call 1-800-686-2148. Automate your existing sliding doors with Propel Automation of Ohio. Automate up to 60-foot twin sliding shed or barn doors with their award-winning patented system. And now Propel Automation of Ohio is part of Ohio Agribility Program, allowing Ohio farmers and farm families who are coping with disabilities or long-term health conditions to automate their doors. For security, safety, convenience, remember Propel Automation of Ohio. Check us out on the web at propelohio.com.
Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today. And we're here in beautiful Lima, Ohio at the Downtown Civic and Convention Center. And with me is Tony Bornhorst, active farmer and county commissioner from Shelby County, Ohio. And Tony, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hey, Alan, thank you for having me here. And family farm. We used to raise a lot of pork, but the next generation, my two sons are now raising cattle. But also we take care of about 900 acres of ground and been involved with the State Pork Producers Organization and a past president of the Ohio Pork Producers Council, but also been on the Soil and Water Board and currently county commissioner for Shelby County.
Well, you know, you're talking about your position as Shelby County commissioner. One of the jobs that we were just discussing was something on a statewide basis that ties you right to that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, our County Commissioners Association of Ohio, we have different committees, and I'm co-chair of the Ag and Rural Affairs, but I also sit on our Water Quality Task Force. So being here today with Sonny and some of the comments that he made about water quality and our farm programs are of great interest, and Ohio's on that front line, especially on that water quality issues. And he was very familiar with Maumee River and Lake Erie, etc. And that's one of the things I really like Sonny. He's down at our level and he understands, and he's not somebody sitting in an ivory tower.
You know, we talk about water quality, because we farm in the Western Lake Erie Basin. So, that's really a tough thing, that we're in our farming operation, we're executing the cover crops and all those kind of things to try to do our share. We've done, research with Ohio State Extension and the tile lines and have done all that. What do you see on a statewide basis that producers are doing? Because this is not only a Western Lake Erie thing; it's a Mississippi River thing and a Gulf of Mexico problem. And so what do you see, or what else is going on in the state outside of our little area here in the western part of Ohio?
Well, the biggest thing here is just being aware of what your nutrients and where they're going. And our farming operation is just south of the Lake Erie Basin, and we go, ours ends up all the way down to the Mississippi River. I think one of the things, and we've done that, we have what you call a manure management plan, nutrient management plan, and it looks like Farm Bureau and other entities are rolling that out to nutrient management plans, everybody having them, and being aware of what the situations are that help contribute or not contribute. And the other part is these edge of field studies. They've been worked on by our entities for about 3 years. We need to start releasing some data to hopefully get folks, okay, here's another opportunity, et cetera. They may not be totally proven yet, but you get them out there on the farms and we'll prove one way or the other if they're going to work.
Well, interesting today that, we had this opportunity, to ask questions of Sonny Perdue, and you made mention about how he connects, he understands, he talks about weed resistance, he talked about varieties of weeds that were, well, this guy is very familiar with agriculture. What was your takeaway today on his message?
Well, his message is that they're accessible, which is great. A lot of times bureaucracies are bureaucracies, and but I really like and being here with the Small Business Administrator, Linda McMahon, and just and signing their agreement, doing it here locally in the Midwest, here in Lima, Ohio. Great opportunity. But one of the things I really like too is he handed out cards for everybody to have, and just to show his homespun, it just says visit USDA.gov, tell Sonny. And how much simpler can you have that? And that's the kind of person he is, which is really good for all of agriculture, that you have people that are interested in what happens down here at this level and can get down to that level and be right there with you.
Well, that's, I kind of liken it to this. I tell my employees and my staff all the time, we have to be down to people's level, working with them where the rubber meets the road. And I think Sonny Perdue does a very good job of that.
Yeah, and that's, even as my job as a commissioner and everything, you need to be there when somebody calls, etc. You need to pick up the phone and need to be accessible. And I just think it's a breath of fresh air that we have people, and to take time out to come here and visit and take questions. And there wasn't any questions set up. Those was a variety of questions, and it was excellent. And he did a great job because he talked very well, very well.
One message that he was very clear about today, and I thought, was that he does talk to the President of the United States, President as well. Obviously he just had a conversation with him very recently about these tariffs, or the discussion of, and I think that's so vitally important for us as well.
Yeah, and President has certain information, may not always be down at our level always, but it's one of those, I think he's so in touch with the man in charge, but also the folks down here that are doing the real grunt work and producing, and he was able to talk about foreign material in our soybeans and different things like that. And it's going to be very interesting, because I've always said agriculture here in the United States can produce, as with anybody. And it's just a matter of the opportunity for us to get it across to the other folks around the world.
Well, Tony, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Alan. Great to be here.
We'll be back with more in Ohio Country Today right after this.
S&S Volvo is your locally owned heavy-duty truck dealership in the area with a full line of Volvo and Isuzu trucks. We offer Volvo, Isuzu, Cummins, and GM parts and service weekdays until midnight until 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays. We also have leasing and rental options to meet your needs. We have the expertise to get and keep you on the road. Stop by at 2600 St. John's Road or visit us at ssvolvo.com to see our wide selection of new and used truck inventory. United Equity Inc. is your locally owned farm-based cooperative. For agronomic services, we offer seed and a full line of dry and liquid fertilizer, as well as soil sampling by soil type, grid, or management zone to best utilize your fertilizer application. Call us to discuss agronomic services customized for you. Reach your best yields with United Equity, serving Allen, Auglaize, Mercer, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Visit us on the web at unitedequityinc.com. Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster is your solutions provider. You can trust the experienced professionals at Allen Davis Insurance to protect your assets. Call today and start saving money with multi-policy discounts and more for auto, home, life, business, recreational, total farm protection, and more. Call Allen Davis Insurance Agency in Wapakoneta and Minster. We are your solutions provider. Call 1-800-686-2148.
With me right now are a couple of young folks that are involved in FFA, and they're here to maybe listen to the Secretary of Agriculture. You want to give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Garrett Etzkorn. I'm part of the Wapakoneta FFA chapter. I'm a sophomore, incoming junior, and I'm going to be the reporter for next year for the FFA.
I'm Doug Ballball. the retiring president of the Walpole Connecticut FFA chapter. As a senior, next fall I will move down to the Columbus, Ohio State campus to major in agricultural engineering.
So, Doug, one question that seems to be a topic on everybody's mind is always trade. And where our agricultural products go, whether they're finished products or raw products, and right now the hot topic is soybeans to China. So what do you think about that?
I believe that since in this area we are able to produce, or in this country in general, we're able to produce more soybeans than we need, and with that being the case, exporting it to China is obviously helping them out because they cannot support them. They cannot produce enough to support themselves. So as long as the trade deals are made fairly, I believe it is a good idea.
Garrett, Doug just made reference to fair trade deals. How do you see things right now in the trade from your perspective as an incoming sophomore?
Yeah. I feel with the perspective of trade, sort of with China, recent trade tariffs obviously increasing. I feel like Doug Along said, with fair trade, the most important thing, both countries are benefiting from each other. Like we can produce more soybeans for China and such, and they can give us products that we might not be able to produce ourselves. So I feel like that most important thing is making sure that we establish a fair trade that's equal for all, and we can benefit each other.
Well, Doug and Garrett, thanks for being with us today. We greatly appreciate your time.
Automate your existing sliding doors with Propel Automation of Ohio. Automate up to 60-foot twin sliding shed or barn doors with their award-winning patented system. And now Propel Automation of Ohio is part of Ohio Agribility Program, allowing Ohio farmers and farm families who are coping with disabilities or long-term health conditions to automate their doors. For security, safety, convenience, remember Propel Automation of Ohio. Check us out on the web at propelohio.com.